We're live. And we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live. Brought to you by Black Cat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. We keep you connected to the comic book community. I'm Mark.
I'm Francie.
And this is the special free comic book day edition of Comic Shop Talk Live. The, post-op free comic book day edition. Last Saturday, you may have noticed we did not have a show because we were too busy cranking out the hundreds and hundreds of orders for free comic book day stuff. Hope you were one of those fine folks, or wherever you are. I hope you got out for free comic day, had some access to free comic book day, because it was a great stash of stuff this week or this year.
It's like 20. We got like 28 titles.
We gave out 28 different titles by I almost said 28 different publishers, but DC had like 19 of those 28 books. But anyway, yes, put out 28 different titles. There were even more than that floating around out there. So like I say, hope you got out for free comic day. Hope you went to the site and got a big stack of free stuff. And
we didn't limit it. So the first time this year, you could have gotten one of everything.
Yeah.
So people were walking away with fat stacks of 28 free comics.
With
like
this fat stack of 28
so many good
different comics. So we'll talk about
books,
Spidey book, Avengers. We'll go through the stack a little bit, not book by book, but we're going to highlight some of our favorites and some of the things that, again, hope you picked up and hope you're checking out, because free comic day is always awesome. That's sort of, we'll just jump right into it, because that's kind of comic shop news. We always like to say start the show with comic shop news. But like I say, it's kind of the free comic book day edition. And why don't you tell the nice folks at home a little bit about Free Comic Book Day?
Certainly. So this is the 20th anniversary of Free Comic Book Day. Every year, it's supposed to be the first Saturday in May, but with COVID, it's been a little wonky. So it was this last Saturday, August 14th. And what happens is publishers, retailers, artists, distributors, all of us going to get together to promote the industry. And so we get to order, these comics that are made. Some of them are reprints of stuff that's already come out. Some of it's brand new material. We pay for them like $0.25 a piece. And then we give them out for you guys for free to, one, promote the industry. Two, if you're already reading comics, maybe give you something new to try. And three, if you're already into comics, you pass it along and you give it to your friends to get more people into the loving, beautiful art of comic book collecting. So it's been really fun. In previous years, we have lines around the block. We've clocked over 1,000 people at Free Comic Book Days before. So this year we did everything online to keep everybody safe so we wouldn't have a big crowd. And boy, were we overwhelmed. Within the first, I think, 15 minutes, we had 200 orders we had to fill all over the country, which was great. It was, don't get me wrong, but we're just coming out from underneath that 7 days later. So now we're finally caught up.
Really loved seeing orders coming in from all around the country. I'm talking all the time. If you're local, or if you're in California, or if you're in New York, Colorado, Texas, and California, you have a local comic book store. If you're not in New York, Colorado, Texas, or California, you do not have a local comic book store. And I know there's exceptions, and people out there right now are crying.
Upstate New York is kind of rural.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're in Illinois, the comic book store near you is in Chicago. And if you're in Illinois and not anywhere near Chicago, you don't have a local comic book store. And again, I'm not from Illinois. I don't know. But I do know that the vast majority of comic stores are in New York, Colorado, Texas, and California.
Yeah.
So there's 46 other states that are underserved in the comic book market. And if you're local, if you're in California, we got tons of stores. We got 3 stores in every
coming
town,
out of my ears.
Which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But it just makes me happy that these folks who are not so fortunate are able to find shops, are able to find their way to our shop, and we're able to get them some free stuff
Lots of
and turn them on to cool stuff. I'm just gonna keep flashing
Lots
through
of
these
orders
covers
from
because it's
Iowa,
fun.
Wichita. We did have upstate New York. We had a lot from up and down the California coast.
We get Seattle and Florida and all that kind of thing.
Lots of Florida, Tennessee.
And like she mentioned, I like to really push everybody to get involved on Free Comic Book Day for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it's about kids and new people. So if you're an established comic person and you got your free comics, give those all ages books away to those kids around the neighborhood.
After you've read them.
Pass them on to friends, family members, co-workers. Leave them in restaurants. Leave them on the bus. Leave them in your Uber. I almost said taxi. I don't know if anybody taxis anymore. Because that's the point, is to get as many of these things into as many people's hands as possible, especially the young people and especially the people who aren't reading comics.
Well, can I caveat that a little
in
bit?
A minute, because I've got other people to get to. The other thing is, hey, Marvel people, read a DC book. Hey, DC people, read a Marvel book. Hey, Marvel and DC people, pick up an indie book. If you read Avengers all the time, then hey, man, read some Batman. If you read Avengers and Batman all the time, hey, man, pick up some, where'd you go? Enter the House of Slaughter.
Ooh.
I mean, come on.
Doesn't that look cool?
And when you cover it up, it says Enter the House of Laughter, which is an entirely different title.
Different book.
So anyway, and now you can caveat, because like I say, I push the indie folks to. It's about trying something new. If you're not a comic person, read a comic. If you are a comic person, read something new, something different. Get out of your rut, get out of your groove, and find a new, fun, exciting thing.
Correct. So I was just going to say that most of the books are not like all ages appropriate.
Well, that's true.
It's probably like a third are, and then like the 2/3 are probably more like 13 and older. Some of them maybe even 17 and older.
But there is a little bit something for everybody. You got your like tween thing. Tween? You got your historical.
How old are you?
That's a word.
Do people even say that anymore? Tween?
That's the marketing word they use for this stuff all the time. Tween readers.
I haven't been in marketing in a long time.
I don't make this stuff up. But like this book, Valiant, so awesome. You get your Ninjak, your Exo Manowar, your Shadow Man, your Harbinger, and this would appeal to all kinds of comic readers who aren't reading Valiant. Just to pick one in general.
My favorite are the flip books where you get 2 for 1. So like the Assassin's Creed, I think, had Witcher, or Critical Role had Witcher, and there's like more than one comic in one. So that's been fun.
Dark Horse has always been really smart that way. You get your Critical Role and you get your Norse mythology. Oh, is that's just the ad? Oh, I'm looking for other one. Oh, there's one.
The Batman flip book. Amethyst.
So you get your. And I'm totally with you. I love a good flip book because it's literally that. Here's your Batman book, and then whoop, voila, there's your Amethyst book. Super awesome. Everybody loves 2 comics in one.
2 for 1.
Though there is always that weird point where, and see, they block it with ads. That's good. That's very smart. Because there's always that point in the flip books where you turn the page and your next page is upside down. You're like, wait, what? And that's when you gotta.
That's when you flip it.
But a little something for everyone: kids' books, romance books, sci-fi, all running the whole gamut of all the publishers, and so it's just tons of fun.
Yes.
So, like I say, hope you got out last week, picked up some cool stuff. Share them with your friends, share them with your family, share them with those folks at work. Get as many books out there as you can, because that's the point of Free Comic Day, is creating more people like us.
See.
And then once they become people like us, then they sign up for subscriptions and they get New This Week comics. And that's what we're here to talk about, is New This Week comics.
I've got more news still.
Do you? Yes, more comic shop news.
I do. All of the sketches are done for issue number 2 of Black Cat Chronicles. So the next issue is Alaska's Port Chatham. So this is issue 1, just to kind of wet your whistle a little bit.
And
so
here's the ad for issue 2.
That's the issue 2. And here's what you have to look forward to for issue number 2. This kind of level of art. I mean, it's amazeballs. Amazing. The great Nate Olson. So all those pages are getting done. I'm seeing the colors. We're getting the letter going. So we're going to have them in your hot little paws sometime in October, just in time for Halloween.
Yes, tons of fun. Great stories, great art, creepy, kooky, mysterious, and spooky.
Nice.
Lots of fun getting going on that third issue right now. So if you haven't got the first issue already, make sure you get up on that. Go to black-cat-comics.com, black-cat-publishing.com. And
a lot of dashes.
A lot of dashes. And hey, life is in the dash.
Nice. That's a t-shirt. Life is in the dash.
No, it's a thing they say at funerals, actually.
Oh, never mind.
Because, it's always like 1970 to 2070.
Dash.
The life is in the dash. I don't know. I'm morbid that way.
Did not know that.
You're the horror
I
fan. You should know these things.
I should.
I'm the Superman guy. In my world, nobody dies. Anyway, so yes, be on the grab that first issue. Get ready for the second issue. And then, like me, you'll be dying for the third issue. Also, want to give a shout out for San Jose Con. I know some of you are reading this backwards, and I apologize. San Jose Con next Sunday, the 29th. Conventions are back, and that's super awesome. My man Steve's putting on an excellent show. He has a fantastic lineup. I almost don't know where to start, but I'll start with Mike Royer, the inker for Jack Kirby. Because if you've ever touched a page of Jack Kirby's, then you're all-time great. On and on. Liam Sharp, Frank Cho, our friend Mick Gray, lots and lots of top talent folks going to be at this show.
Wear your mask.
Sunday, 29th. Mask up, get out to the show, pick up some great, awesome classic comics, and meet some great creators. Great to have the conventions back in action.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I guess that's comic shop news. And now we'll get into this week's comics. Lots and lots of big deal comics this week.
Wait, we're not done with news because you haven't talked about your favorite show yet.
This week's What If episode. Okay.
I know.
Man up. Who cried? Wow, what an awesome episode. With
falling.
Everybody, no spoilers specifically, but everybody, the schedule for the What If episodes are out there. I'll back up half a step. Disney Plus. You don't have Disney Plus. What are you waiting for? To get yourself some Disney
Sell a
Plus.
kidney if you need to.
Check out What If. What If is their newest Marvel show. They're 2 episodes in. It's animated, which is awesome. They're self-contained one-shots, which is awesome. If you don't know much about What If, check out my last episode of Kazi's Classics on YouTube and the Facebooks. Talked all about What If and all that kind of stuff. The first episode was Captain Carter. Why they didn't call her Captain Britain, I don't really know, because I think Sony owns Captain Britain.
Oh.
Anyway, because I think technically Captain Britain is an X-Men character for some reason. Anyway, the Captain Carter episode was amazing because I'm a huge Cap fan. It was amazing anyway. The second episode was T'Challa as Star-Lord, which was so great for 1,000 reasons.
He voiced it.
First and foremost, Chadwick Boseman, and he'll do a little bit of Black Panther voicing later in other episodes, but this is his episode for this series, and wow, what a loss! What a great talent, and all of that. It just all came gushing back the minute you heard the voice. It was awesome, but it was also kind of heartbreaking. But what a fantastic and fun episode it was too. I love the What If concept, and they did such a great job with that. So again, get yourself some Disney Plus, and every Wednesday check out a new episode of a fantastic animated series that's already all-time classic. Anybody else out there catch it? Did you watch What If? Did you love it as much as I did? What did you think of the first episode? I know, as I said, the schedule is posted, but I haven't looked at it because I don't want to know what the next episode is. I like the surprise.
Being surprised. No spoilers here.
Good stuff.
Good times. So should we jump into new this week?
Now are we getting into new this week? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Alex says I have to catch it. Haven't watched it yet.
So good.
You got to do that. What is Disney Plus? Is it like $8, $10, $20?
If you lump it in with Hulu and ESPN, it's like $13.
Get one of those package things, recycle some cans. It's not ridiculous. If you're employed, you can probably squeeze the Disney Plus bucks, and it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of folks out there who don't feel as strongly about it as I do. You love your HBO Max because it's a Coke Pepsi world. But just to say that if you're a Marvel person, if you're a Star Wars person, if you're a Disney person, all right, Alec, you said it. He said, I have no excuse for not seeing it. And yes, DuckTales revival. I mean, on and on and on I could go with Disney Plus.
I haven't seen that yet.
The Animaniacs, the return of Animaniacs was until Stan and Jack come back. The return of Animaniacs was some of the most fun I've had in a long time.
Glorious.
But yeah, Disney Plus is a rabbit hole that you'll be more than happy to keep crawling down. And those What If episodes are a ton of fun.
Check out the DuckTales. I used to like that as a kid.
Heck yeah. It's like Indiana Jones as a duck.
Yeah. Super good.
As a couple of ducks.
Super duper good.
So now rolling into this week's titles. As I said, lots of great books this week. We want to know what you're reading. We want to know what's at the top of your stack, what you're looking forward to reading. Yes, Alec, I watched the old Disney afternoon stuff. I watch. I've said for a long time.
We watched Black Cauldron last night. That was fun.
Boom! Black Cauldron was cool. Was way cool. I should have seen it back when it came out. I would have dug it back in '85. I would have made. Disney makes heavy metal movies. Look at that guy. It's like Crocus. Everybody's out there. What's Crocus? You don't want to know. Don't Google it.
Is it a tween?
No, it was maybe back in the day. But anywho, yeah, Black Cauldron was awesome. Disney Plus just packed full. I've been saying I can watch a classic Disney movie, a Pixar movie, a Marvel movie, and a Star Wars movie every single day. And that's 8 to 10 hours of my life every single day.
Done.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a comic book show. Yeah, Treasure Planet.
That is a good one,
Nice
Alec.
one.
I love Treasure Planet.
That I do too.
That is estimated, I don't know what the word is.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Yes.
It is underrated.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
I want to say that's a Joss Whedon script.
Oh, I think you're right.
But I don't know. Now that might get it canceled, so we shouldn't mention that. Maybe.
Hey, we're back live on Facebook. I don't know why this one keeps popping out with this iPad thing.
Yeah. Sorry,
Technology.
Facebooks. Jump over to the YouTube thing. YouTube loves us.
Stable.
So yeah, and you know, to that point, Alec, let me say for all you folks out there, even you angry, bitter critics, dig deep. It's really cool. You know, Disney seems to have done away with their vault thing that they did for the longest time with their DVDs, and so you know, I guarantee, no matter how hardcore. I can't say it like that because you Disney people are pretty hardcore. Most of us have not seen every single Disney movie ever. Like Black Cauldron has been around forever, and I hadn't seen it till last night. So
I think I've seen everything.
You can dig deep with that Disney stuff, whether it's the TV stuff, the movie stuff, live action, whatever it might be.
Josh Whedon co-wrote Toy Story. I didn't know that.
He's right. People do forget that.
I did not know. No clue.
And yeah, he's awesome.
That's some good trivia right there.
That is some good trivia. It also explains why he was stinking rich before the Avengers.
Nice.
He didn't make that money off WB.
It wasn't off of Buffy script.
It wasn't. God bless them. We all love them, but it wasn't the Buffy scripts. Why don't you start us off? You've got some
a small stack
this week's best stuff.
Well, it's a Tom King week. Tom King suite. So I'm happy. I'm happy girl. Batman Catwoman has just been kicking serious butt. It is so cool to go back in time to see what was going on right after the Mask of the Phantasm stuff, and then fast forward into the future. Now that Catwoman's an old woman and Bruce, God rest his soul, is buried under, in the grave, and what she does, now that her conscience part of herself is buried underground, what does Catwoman do? Well, she goes out and checks up all the boxes of all the people that have wronged her, all the things she needs to seek revenge for, all of the things that are out of balance that she needs to rebalance the scales, and it's awesome. So going back, it's a little confusing when they go back from the past to the future stuff, but if you read it a couple times, you give yourself a break, you'll catch it.
That kind of stuff is fun in the reread. It's tough in the first read, but it actually makes the reread more fun.
Even more fun, yeah. So like unlike their other book, which is Strange Adventures, where they have different artists. So when it's the past, it's a different artist altogether, and it's a future. There's not that same level of distinction, so it can be a little jarring going from past to future, but it's still well worth your efforts in reading it. And Clayman is just amazeballs. I can't show you that one. I can probably
at this stage
you,
it's almost yeah.
Show you that.
And Mask of the Phantasm, come on, Phantasm is super cool, and it's great to see that character in comics.
I agree, Alec. Catwoman is such a great character, and she gets underrepresented and not.
Let me piggyback on that for just a second.
Okay.
Because he said exactly what I was going to say. Alec, you're 200% correct. Catwoman is one of the very best characters in comics for 1,000 reasons. And this book, Tom King does such a great job of spotlighting so many of those things. One thing I've always said, and I was just talking about it yesterday, as a matter of fact, is, and everybody always talks about the dichotomy of all the Batman versus the different characters, and how they all represent. But very simply put, Bruce Wayne is the orphan who had everything, and he took that everything and became Batman. Selina Kyle is the orphan who had nothing, and she took nothing and became Catwoman.
Well, she took everything.
But that's the point, is that she takes everything. She takes whatever she wants. And anyway, the ways that she's different from Bruce, the ways that she's similar. You said conscience, and I would, as you said, caveat. I would caveat that just a little bit. It's not conscience. She made a promise.
Yeah.
And the minute that she buried the old man, that promise was no longer valid. I would make an argument that she has no conscience. What she has is a moral code. And
compass.
The relationship with Bruce obligated her to behave a certain way, right. And without that obligation, we see what happens. And oh man, it's just such a treat to see the things that she does. And honestly, as you say, I think it's the book that she deserves. I'll get to Catwoman in a minute because it's in my stack. I'll just get there now.
Yeah.
Catwoman is one of the best books in comics. For the reason Alec's talking about, for the reasons we're talking about, just an exceptional character. And this current run is really showing you what she does best, is that she's a good bad guy. She's good at being a bad guy. And then she's a bad guy sometimes for good reasons. As I say, she does have a moral compass, a moral code, and stealing stuff from other people doesn't really violate that code. So Batman Catwoman does a great job of showing what an excellent character she is, and the Catwoman series is doing an excellent job of showing you why she's unique in the DC universe, why she deserves her own title. So if you're not reading Catwoman or either one of these books and you're any kind of DC fan, you got to get up on both of them because they're a lot of fun. While I'm there, I mean, this one has Batman on the cover, so if you're holding out for some reason, this one has Batman. Let me show you. There's some cool art. Like I say, the book's pretty much all about characterization, but it's also about action and I don't know, just great stuff. Catwoman's a great character.
And yes, Alex, one, they have a complicated relationship, Batman and Catwoman, for sure. And two, yeah, that episode of the animated series where Batman cuffs her and says, I care about you more than you know. Yeah, that classic. I mean, just that one line, that one sentence kind of wraps, and his actions of like keeping her in handcuffs says it all. It's awesome.
And that's part of what makes her great is that Batman falls for it every single time. Much like Loki and Thor, Catwoman has a relationship where she wins every time because Batman thinks this is the time that she'll do the right thing. And she's like, sucker. And he's left holding the bag or the handcuffs, as it were. I've always enjoyed that.
Michelle Pfeiffer is a classic Catwoman. Yes.
Eartha Kitt will always be my Catwoman.
Julie
Newmar. I'm real partial to Julie Newmar. That's good stuff.
Stranger Things, yeah.
Dark Horse. Yep, Stranger Things comics. Everybody should have a Dark Horse book on their list, and Stranger Things is a great place to start. While you mention it, folks, if you're watching Stranger Things, if you love Stranger Things, check out the comics. The art's really good. They've done a prequel. There's a prequel, which is really cool. The first series takes place during the first season. Yeah. It's what's going on to the kid in the Will. Upside down.
What happens to Will?
Right, and so really you can read really it as you watch the first season, and that's really cool. Halle Berry was a decent enough Catwoman. She just was in a terrible movie. It's just like George Clooney Batman. George Clooney was born to be Bruce Wayne, born to be Batman. He just got cast in a horrible movie. He just got Schumachered, and nobody wants to be that. And
the other thing, Alec, too, is there's a one shot, like a Halloween kind of special where the kids are sitting around a campfire telling ghost stories. If you haven't gotten that one, get it. It's really fun. For Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, I'm a little all over the place. Getting back to Catwoman, When in Rome. Read Catwoman When in Rome. Speaking of books that go along with other things, Catwoman When in Rome is what Catwoman was doing during Long Halloween. There's a page in Long Halloween where she says she's taking off to France, and she does, and she comes back later in the book, and you don't know what happened. They did the book of what happened later on, or I guess Italy, and you want to check that out if you love Catwoman. It's great.
We have another comment here from Farhan. So Silicon Valley is actually next weekend, Farhan. It's not this weekend. And we don't comment on it other than to say, go to this one on Sunday.
Go to San Jose Con because it's a Comic-Con.
Support your local comic book show.
It's a comic book show. I got nothing against those other shows, but it's really just kind of a celebrity thing and I don't know. It's fine. It's fun, but it's not a Comic-Con.
We will not be attending.
So go to San Jose Con. That's about what we had to say about that.
We miss cons. Yeah. It's nice to see them coming back around again for sure.
And like I say, got nothing against the celebrity thing, the autograph thing, all that kind of stuff. It's just not what I go to shows for. I go to shows to buy old comics. Daniel says, I love in Batman Beyond when Terry asks Bruce if he's ever fallen in love with a villain, and Bruce smiles and says, let me tell you about a woman named Selena Kyle. Batman Beyond is, for all the love that it gets, it doesn't get enough. Batman Beyond is, in my opinion, 90% of what the Batman animated series is. There's episodes that are, new villains like Ink and stuff. On I could go about that. Good stuff. So chiming in really quick at these two, as she said, mention. Oh, you didn't get to that one yet.
No,
sorry.
You've been talking over me this whole time.
Talk about Tom King. It's just I wanted to mention. Read everything from Tom King.
Just got so excited. You're so excited.
It needs a revival. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great.
The comic revival was very good. The last couple series of Batman Beyond. Dan Jurgens, one of my all-time favorites. It's a great comic.
So issue 3 of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I haven't read this particular issue yet, but the first 2 were a joy. So the art by Bilquis Everly, it's just beautiful. So it's the same artist who did The Dreaming. And so if you like the kind of Sandman art, Charles Vess style, that's kind of what we've got going on here. It's fantasy driven. I'm not a huge super universe kind of gal. I stick to my dark Gotham. But Tom King has me hooked. The first 2 issues of this were hysterical. There were moments where I was just laughing out loud. So the premise is Supergirl takes off to this planet where she's not really known and hides away where she doesn't have the yellow sun so she can get drunk on her 21st birthday. Right there. Who doesn't want to read that, right? And then, of course, mayhem ensues, and now she's stuck and she can't use her powers. So what does she do? So all kinds of fun things, fun characters, cool setting, neat universe that he's created. So if you want a laugh and something a little lighter fare, but still, beautifully done and expertly crafted, pick up Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Issue 3 hit the shelves this week.
So a couple of Tom Kings, grab those in Strange Adventures for the sweep. Alex says, I have a soft spot for Supergirl. Peter David's Supergirl run is one of my favorites.
Nice.
I agree with that. Peter David's run of whatever is one of my favorites. Everybody knows his Incredible Hulk run. He did a book called Saxon Violins, which was mind-blowing. His run of Captain Marvel changed the way I look at comics. Peter David is one of the all-time greats. And I have a soft spot for Supergirl. Unlike your Dark Gotham, I love all things super. And I love when they do a great Supergirl book because on the surface, of course, she's just a Superman knockoff. She's got all the same powers. It's like Superman, but she's a girl. Okay, great. But over the years, there's a lot of differences, obviously, and a lot of room to play in there. One of my favorite things was that originally Kara was much older. She was a teenager when Kal-El was born, and then she gets here and he's a grown man. I don't know, on and on, because she was in stasis. He grew, he aged on the trip, and she didn't.
Got it.
So anyway, there's all kinds of great things to do with Supergirl that you can't do with Superman. And not a lot of writers go for that, but Peter David does, Tom King does.
It's fun.
And it's fun.
Good read.
Everything Tom King. We've already blown through the time because, like you say, I'm talking about everything.
It's a fun-filled week.
So let's go speed round really quick. Trial of Magneto, X-Men, Trial of Magneto. Wow. Boom. Okay. Spoiler, sort of. X Factor number 10 that sold out and went to reprint was The Death of the Scarlet Witch.
What?
And yes, just before Doctor Strange 2, they're killing Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. So anyway, I mean, let's face it. We all know how death in comics works, and we all know how death in X-Men comics works. But pick up Trial of Magneto. Look at this awesome cover. All of the covers. They did like 19 covers like they like to do. And I always complain about that.
Too many covers.
Except this week. I mean, they had a lot of great covers. So Magneto has been accused of murdering the Scarlet Witch. And, and of course, all the X-Men and women and other are in a tizzy. And so pick up some Trial of Magneto. Check out some of that cool art. There is a lot going on in the X-Men books. There always is. I've been talking about that for a long time. But I've been encouraging you guys to jump into one of the many X books for a long time. If you don't know anything about it, grab that reprint of X Factor 10, or don't even bother. Just grab Trial of Magneto, give it a read. And if you really dig it, like I'm pretty sure you will, then just grab the next issue of X-Men or X-Force or Marauders or New Mutants or some kind of X book, and keep on going. It's high drama, high action, adventure, all that kind of stuff.
And yeah, Alec, that cover is heavy metal.
Comics with Bueller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, this cover is epic. And all of them were. Like I say, get on the Marvel website, take a look at all the different covers. John Romita, Art Germ, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're all really cool. You all know I'm a huge Scarlet Witch fan, Marley. So this was an easy book for me.
Hello, Marley, Super Dog.
It says it's going to be somewhat speed round. Kang the Conqueror.
Kang.
Another book you have to get, tying back to the beginning with our whole Disney Plus show.
I have a question. Since I'm not totally versed in the Marvel universe, who's Kang?
Kang the Conqueror is a guy... I don't know exactly which century. So in the distant future, there's this dude.
Yeah.
And he's bored because his world has solved everything. There's no war, there's no crime, there's no disease, there's no nothing. It's peace, it's utopia. And he hates it. And so he basically goes back in time. He builds a time machine, or actually he reconfigures Dr. Doom's time machine.
Nice.
And goes back to ancient Egypt to basically remake the world like he wants it. So he goes back in time to conquer ancient Egypt. And which he does. Okay, so he goes back into the past and becomes Ramatut, the new pharaoh of Egypt.
Love it.
The Fantastic Four show up and kick his butt. So he jumps back into his time machine and takes off. While he's traveling through time, he encounters Dr. Doom. And he thinks Dr. Doom is really cool. So he makes himself a suit of armor like Doctor Doom's. And the next time frame he gets to, he stops being Rama-Tut and he becomes Kang the Conqueror.
I love that.
Kang sets out to do that. He sets out to conquer all time and space. He realizes, like they get into in the Loki show, spoilers, I guess, he realizes that time diverges, and every time time diverges, it's a new universe, and that gives him a new universe to conquer. Mm-hmm. So he sets out to conquer all the different universes. And it's really cool because he first shows up in Avengers number 10, and throughout his different appearances, they aren't linear. So sometimes when you see Kang, he doesn't know things that have happened because they haven't happened to him yet. And sometimes when you see Kang, he knows things that are going to happen because he's already seen them. And anyway, yeah, it is. It's really fascinating. At some point, Kang falls in love. He meets a gal named Ravonna, and Ravonna convinces him to stop being this horrible, horrible person. And Kang becomes Immortus, and Immortus goes to Limbo and starts to fix all of the chaos that he had created as Kang.
Oh my God, I love it.
But of course, fixing time is kind of the same as screwing it up in the first place. Yeah. But anyway.
31st century, Daniel says.
Thank you. For me, it's always Buck Rogers. It's always 25th century. Because the future is the future, right? So anyway, I probably said too much. I apologize for spoiling things for you Loki people. But Kang, as an old Avengers fan, Kang is one of the best villains of comics. And I was really great to see him on the show. It's really great to see him get a comic. You young Avengers fans know how all that works. I don't want to ruin anything for folks.
What time travel? I'd go back in time and get all the Gold and Silver Age comics. Yeah, you and me both.
I would just go back
Fantasy 15, a couple of those.
I'd get 2 copies of Action Comics,
Detective
number 1.
27.
I'd just come back, sell it, and buy all those other ones. And anyway, so I can't show you that. I really want to, but I can't. Okay.
Oh, that's pretty.
Look at some of that art.
That's good.
Boom. So if you didn't pick this book up this week, you need to grab it this week or next week. Pick up some Kang. It was a treat to read. I know folks don't like time travel stuff sometimes. It can be confusing. It can be a lot of things.
Me.
But Marvel's, generally speaking, done a really good job of how they manage Kang and Immortus and all that. They always tell interesting stories. So pick this up. It's a lot of fun. He's a great villain. Great to see him getting more attention.
Keep going.
My last Marvel book is Iron Man. Pick up Iron Man and Thor. If you're not picking up Iron Man or Thor, you're missing 2 of the best books in comics. Just classic superhero fun. And I'll tell you, a lot of folks pick on Tony Stark because as a character, he hasn't been handled as well as he's been defined in years past. This run shows you Tony Stark is actually a good guy. He's not a nice guy, but he is a good guy. He is a superhero, and he punches villains in the face. So if you're not reading Iron Man, you're not reading Thor, you're really missing out.
Like Mal from Firefly.
Exactly.
I'm okay. I'm a good guy. I'm okay.
Nightwing is like Catwoman. If you're not reading Nightwing, you're missing one of the best books in comics. One thing that everybody was told this week. Okay. Did you know that Nightwing is actually a Kryptonian hero? Nightwing is one of the great lore, is one of the mythological stories on Krypton.
I've never heard that before.
Dick Grayson and Superman are actually better friends than Batman and Superman because Batman isn't friends with anybody. Superman and Dick Grayson go way back. And they have a little conversation in this issue, which is awesome. Again, most modern fans don't know the long history that these two have together. So it was really great seeing them hooking up after all this time. So anyway,
not hooking up.
You know what I mean. So Nightwing.
Maybe. No judgment.
Like I say about Daredevil, go as far back as you want, or just jump into the latest issue. Nightwing is a really, really fun read for a great, great character. Nightwing and Catwoman, Batman, Catwoman, 3 of the best books DC does. I'll save my Image rant for next time because we're
running out of time.
We're a little over. But Daniel knows what I'm talking about. Noctera is my Image rant. Radiant Black is my Image rant. And next week I'll have some other Image rant because there will be 5 other Image books that are awesome.
Rants make it sound like you're mad at them.
Oh, I'm not mad. I love them.
Your Image
has 100 books that you should have on your list. Cool
Department of
sci-fi genre or sci-fi horror genre fusion. Great stories, great art. Whatever it is you like, it's out there. Westerns, horror.
King Spawn's coming out next week.
King Spawn is next week. The classic stuff like Spawn.
The colored version
new
of Walking
stuff like
Dead.
Radiant Black.
So many.
Everybody needs 5 Image books on the list. Geiger, on and on I could go. There's always 2 that slipped my mind. But anyway, this week it was Noctera and Radiant Black. Go to imagecomics.com and check out all their awesomeness.
Yes.
So, yes, we ran over some time because there's always lots of fun stuff to talk about in comics. Thanks for participating.
It's fun to interact with everybody.
We love the back and forth. That's really why we're here. Like we say at the top of the show, we keep you connected to the comic book community so that Alex and the Daniels can hang out in the shop like we always have.
Yep, that's right.
So we hope you've had as much fun as we had. Tune in Wednesday for the live video, for the newsletter, for the whole batch of next week's comics. Then tune in next week, Friday night, Kazi's Classics.
Ooh, already?
Yes, last Friday of every month.
Holy moly, the month
is
by.
My half-hour time with the classic books.
Silvers.
We talk a lot about the new books, but Kazi's Classics is all about the old schools. So Friday night, 6 p.m., Kazi's Classics. Then tune back in Saturday, 2 p.m., Comic Shop Talk Live. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.
Bye, guys and gals.